With the surprise re-release of Oblivion that absolutely nobody saw coming, there was one question that was in the back of everyone's minds. More than how many bugs will be patched out and how many more will be brought in, more than how many challenge YouTubers will jump on the challenges day one for early clout, and more than wondering if there is going to be a portal to Skyrim. That question being, if the hand-to-hand combat tree would be butchered like it was in Skyrim. Many Oblivion fans are still talking to their therapist after having watched that horrific murder firsthand. Well, to put everyone's fears to rest, and to be a shameless YouTuber, I will try to answer these pressing questions and so much more, as today I will attempt to beat Oblivion Remastered with only my fists. So why exactly fists? Well, this is actually my first challenge run of Oblivion, so I don't want to dive lack of head there first into total hell, instead just doing a semi-casual playthrough as I get into the groove of the game. Plus, there are some minor changes to the system, so I want to be acquainted with them first and foremost. As for the rules of the run, going to keep things nice and simple. I can only use my fist for combat, and that is it. No companions or the sort, and more or less your standard fare for a run, and no bonus objectives this time around. Also, as a side note, the game does not look at 100%. Don't worry, it's just my graphics card being kinda crud. I do have a new one in the mail at the time of recording this, so it should be better looking for future runs. So how long will it be until I'm stopped right there for being a criminal scum? Let's find out. Booting up the game, and the very first thing I get to experience is 5 minutes of building shaders. Boy, I love modern gaming. As for the character creator, going with the Khajiit this playthrough, given they bring claws to a fist fight, and I think I should be getting out of pub brawls on top. Also, I love the Oblivion character creator. Not 5 seconds in, and I'm already jealous of my cellmate. He gets a 3-course meal and ratatouille. Not long afterwards, the Emperor with his canyons for wrinkles walks into my cell and mentions he dreamed of me. I feel so sorry for his nightmares. And yes, I did name myself after everyone's favorite stress relief. I did try to get up to where the assassin tries to ambush the Emperor, load a quick save, and the game crashes. Off to a great start. Second go around, and sadly I'm not able to engage in conversation with the party crasher. Oh well, I just wanted some words of wisdom. Before long the group leaves me behind, and I'm on my own to defend myself against the rats. Since I am using the basic fisticuff, no need to worry about any weapons of the day. I try to bring along a relevant reference, but sadly it is stuck in place, so back into the caverns we go. The tutorial dive really isn't much to write home about, just expressing the natural order, cat beats rat, and zombies aren't going to be able to feast on my brains tonight. There's nothing there to begin with. Something I have noticed is that my fist range is pretty lacking, though it might just be a natural side effect of the fist. Truth be told, I've never used fists in the original version. Before long the rats turn into goblins, which means nothing in the grand scheme of things. They are just gobbling up my one-handed experience as I hook them into the afterlife. Before long I'm reunited with Xavier, and I get to assign my birth sign, which gives a natural benefit to your class. Going to be with the warrior for the added damage, and more assassins get their ass beat put in ass. I don't know, it's late at night writing this, and my brain hasn't been wanting to work lately. More wanderings, and the Emperor is trapped in a room with me. I try to be an effective body block for the assassin, but he just walks right through me. Well, Bethesda ran out of money to pay for Patrick Stewart, so they offed him pretty quickly, and I get to choose my class from Boris. Going with the strength and endurance for attributes, and for my tag skills, hand-to-hand, restoration, defenses, and other filler. There is some optimal way to play the game with skills, but in reality with the changes to leveling up, you can put your tag skills in what you want to focus on, and not be punished as much. I become Punch Cat, fight tooth and claw out of the sewers, and emerge outside in the fresh air. Across the river, and I get into my first real combat encounter. The bandits are nothing to write home about. Punch things enough time in the head, and eventually it will look like mine. But I do have to back off to heal at a few points. Also, one slaughterfish was a fish out of water, so I embrace my inner feline and get a nice meal of sushi for my troubles. Inside the Imperial City, my small mind was a little bit curious because I like to glitch the game. I bought a few scrolls and tried to do the scroll duplication glitch, though sadly it was patched out. Makes sense because it was a major glitch, but oh well. Can't make things too easy now. Also, a lot of other glitches like the Dorian glitch were also patched, though strangely the bound weapon glitch still works. Future past, present, past, Orpheolus. Turns out there is an item duplication glitch that is incredibly easy to pull off. I did not know about it until after the run. All you need is a bunch of arrows and an item that you want to duplicate. Take everything out of a container, put in an item you want to duplicate, drag a bunch of arrows on top of the item, hit confirm twice, take the item out of the container, and congratulations, you have a bunch of copies of whatever you want. Very helpful for Nernroot and Calipers. Probably going to be patched out, but wanted to show it off nevertheless. Okay, back to past, present, past me. There are a lot of things you can do in the city, but given I'm still a basic kitten barely out of the mother's nest, I figure I could prove that I'm a man thing, and punch the daylights out of the arena goers. At least I get free armor for my troubles. The first fights weren't too bad, just left hook, right hook, subscribe, and the pit dogs were defeated. The easiest fight was the third round. Archers really don't like you getting up in their business. Then again, all they like are being stealthy. After enough blood to drink from the fountains like some feline whose pet owners died many weeks ago and starved, I am happy and I decided to go out for more prep work. Also, as a side note, I did decide to put off the arena questline until after I was done with this challenge run, and the game was bugged, not letting me do more arena fights even though it is in the middle of the day. Classic Bethesda, to be honest. Except they are party poopers and not letting you get achievements if you use console commands to fix their spaghetti codes or changing the field of view. Outside the arena, I picked open the chest and purloined the very good gauntlets, the precursor to the gloves of the pugilist, and got some free experience after watching a heated argument on whether Fallout 3 or New Vegas is a better game. Since I have my first full level up, I figure a quick cat nap is in order. I go to the ship on the dock, take a nap, and level up. The leveling up in the remaster is more akin to Fallout where you dispense points into the attributes you want, instead of getting bonuses on which skills you invested in the most, which can lead to some leveling issues. When I woke up, the ship was taken over and now we are in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, this quest is so good because if you use the correct dialogue options, you can get a good outcome. Just 3 of the members of the Marauders get to leave the ship with a serving of knuckle sandwiches. Also, dear gods, what happened to the orcs? As for the leader, Celine, I did all the correct dialogue options. Being I have done this quest a few times before, I surprised her with my knowledge even though I'm skipping through all the dialogue options, and she surrenders peacefully. The rest of the crew, full of pieces. With the boat docked without any more surprises, I figured now would be a good time to get the main story back on track, so I traveled to Wayne and crashed the desktop, talked to Joffrey, and departed to Kavach for the first Oblivion Gate. Before then, my very rustic and smooth brain remembered about the cheat cave, like one of the few exploits that still works. Just east of Skingrad there is a special cave that is well known about, along with some goblins clocked in the mouth. But more exactly, just a bit north of Gleanmeld Cave is a trapdoor leading to the back entrance to an alien ruin. All you have to do is quick save before entering the cave, press enter, press a button, and boom, boss chest. Though I didn't get anything fun so they might have nerfed this chest, either that or I'm just low leveled. Quick load if nothing goes inside, allow the rinse repeat until you get something decent. Disheartened by my lack of the mundane, I decided to go to hell. And no, I'm not talking about my day job. Nah, I want to go somewhere a little more enjoyable than that So I climbed up towards Kavach, and suddenly the sky is on fire and there's a portal to the med part of Oblivion. I'm joined with some scamps. Thankfully, since I'm low leveled, I don't have to worry about the much more difficult encounters like Canfears or Atronarchs. Just falling debris and plans to like to whip me, and not in the kinky way. After having closed many Oblivion gates in my day, I sort of muscle memory my way through the dungeon, just going on full autopilot. Most gates are the same, well there's only like 7 variants, just with different types of traps to get in the way. I did get turned around at one point, trying to get into one of the towers. Sure, the keeper might be a little tougher than most enemies thus far, but anything will fall over if you punch him enough times in the kidneys, along with going for the gold. Also, the prisoner sadly cannot be freed, otherwise you'll feel the warm wrath of wanting more experience. The rest of the gate wasn't too interesting, just having a punch out with devils, putting in my auras, and grabbing my great ball of fire. I did think about save scumming for a good sigil stone, but I decided not to. Kinda just want to play this run legit? I know. Holy sh**! Orph isn't cheesing the hell out of the game using every known exploit known to man? Must explain why it's pretty chilly in that Oblivion gate. Inside Kavach proper, we were met with a bunch of Canfears, which are very annoying because they're staggers, and more importantly, they reflect melee damage back to the user, so I end up taking a bit of a beating. Inside the chapel, I'm united with Martin, and now it is time to lead the heir to the Empire back to Joffrey. I do what any responsible escort for the Chosen One, and make them tag along in liberating a fallen city from agents of hell. You know, a normal Tuesday. There wasn't much to discuss with the liberation, more just of the same scams we fight over the last hour or so, though I did feel a little nervous with one guard always having a bow drawn on me. Must know about my bad habits in the 4th era, especially relating to anything Stendarr related. Inside the castle, the scamps are no longer stunted in growth, which translates to needing more uppercuts on the skull to take down. The game gives you so much backup here, you aren't too much at risk of dying. Well, the liberation was for naught because the Viscount was die count, but my efforts for liberating the city was so much a success, Mateus literally gives me the armor right off his back to give me. It is a nice upgrade over my existing armor, but it's a little sweaty. After being the world's worst babysitter, I return to the Priary and have it besieged by Mythic Dawn agents. Thankfully, they are nice enough to pause their slaughter to let me have a lovely conversation. I rescue Joffrey from his assailants and find out the amulet is gone, so now comes a game-long fetch quest to get it back. I did purchase the deluxe edition of Oblivion, meaning by pay to win, I now have a set of fancy horse armor to flex my swag in a single player game. Why the f did I waste $10 on this? The game was not a fan of my poor financial decisions and crashed for me. Up at Skyhaven Temple, Cyrus opens the door to Not Quite Aragon, and I'm glad that desync hearing is still in the game. With the Unreal Engine, at least Sean Bean can look closer to his other main roles, and next up is going to hunt down some books. I reunite with Boris in the Imperial City, and enter the basement for Fight Club. Rule number 1 of Fight Club: broadcast it to everyone and beat the onlookers to a pulp, along with using only your fists. That's how it goes, right? Part of the rest of the quest is just back and forth with telling an elf he probably does not want to take a partnership contract with a company that's known to steal private information, and selling it to the highest bidder, along with selling their souls to the devil and promoting destruction. Inside the sewers once again, it is more twisty passages full of rats, crabs, and neckbeards engaged in pointless social media wars. The place sure smells like some of them. Eventually Boris is discussing reading materials, but given how much I enjoy experience, I jump down into the fray and punch Raven forevermore, and I get a level up from it all. At least my build is coming together quite nicely. Afterwards, well, I got very lost in the sewers. I have a bad memory of the sewers, and it is mostly because of this part. Just wandering around, lost in a fog, and I'm not talking about my brain fog. Yeah, the direction the compass points you towards is someone's basement, and I don't want to lose my gloves. Afterwards, well, I had to backtrack through the average Twitter mega thread about something that attracts many crypto shills, unwarranted political discussions that might be just a bot, and my Khajiit in bio. After a long time, I'm back on the surface. I talk to a local gizzard, and she points me to reading the books. I have not read any books in like 4 years, so instead of utilizing the empty void in my brain, I just brute force things by staring at a gravestone and getting the coordinates conveniently directing me to a cave in the middle of nowhere. On my way to the underground Tinder meeting, I thought I could do a quick side tour to pick out some items for selling, since I can't duplicate stuff with my at-the-time knowledge. At the fort outside of Shadenhall, there is a secret trunk you can go down into, and in the chest behind a very hard lock you can purloin some poison apples. Perfect for selling. That I never ended up selling, but oh well. I actually forgot about the apples as soon as I got them. Before the dungeon proper, I did run into a timber wolf, something slightly stronger than I'm used to. Still goes down in a few boops. Sure, I could go through the Dagon Shrine undercover, but that involves being a sneaky character with a molecule of intelligence. However, I lack both requirements, so I revert to my primal brawny self, and I go through the Asians, and for the most part I'm able to clock them out before they really recognize what's going on. As for the big room, I did not have a plan, just go in and brawl it out in the pit. Honestly, for how simple of a plan it was, it worked out just fine. Sure, I did get hit a little bit, but I still came out on top. I managed to rescue the prisoner and grab the book, and together we made our escape. By we, it is mostly me babysitting this dumb gecko, as I had to solo all the Mythic Dawn agents here. Sure, it was a pretty easy escape, well, until I forgot about the stamina and take a couple banana slips, but who's to say. Back on the overworld, frustrated at the Argonian's lack of help, I just punch him over and over again, and eventually he kneels over. A bunch of kicks in the family jewels might do that, and my evil deeds do go notice, and now I have a stalker whenever I sleep. Lucian really must not watch my Skyrim runs. Back at High Rothgar, I talked to Martin about messing up my mission, and now comes the big MacGuffin collection part of the game. But before then, Joffrey needs me to flush out some spies from the next door cellar. I talked to the Word, and rummaged through a house and get some paperwork. Yeah, the spies were flushed out, and they came after me for sneaking into their house, and a guard decides to arrest me for doing their job for them. I just reloaded a save because I like my gloves, and I deal with the spies in the cave outside the legal system, and I return to Martini to start the first MacGuffin, a Daedric artifact. There are many different Daedric artifacts I could collect, enough to do challenge runs from them all like my current obsession with Skyrim, but you have to give one away to progress the main story, so take it as you will. Before going to Leyawiin, I had to first pillage through crates for some yarn and lettuce. You know, normal madman tendencies. Can confirm, knitting while eating salads is a good combo. I then traveled north to the shrine, dedicated to the Daedric prince most in tune with me, play the Shivering Isles, and you will know how base Sheogorath actually is. So Sheogorath's quest is actually very fun. You get to cause chaos in a small village, plus it is somewhat pacifist friendly. Somewhat. The hardest part of the quest is just getting the key to the cheese. The game really wasn't wanting me to pickpocket the cheese, plus she does have some good boots on hand. At one point a conjurer came into the inn and started a brawl. You know, normal Oblivion stuff. Eventually luck was on my side, and I could get the cheese as an offering to all the rats. I wouldn't be too paranoid about the apocalypse. I see it as an all-you-can-eat buffet. The next sign of the apocalypse is poisoned sheep, which is really easy as poisoning the feed, hence the disclaimer of the somewhat part. Once the sheep fell into the long sleep, I stood in the middle of town and watched it rain dogs on cats, and the world has ended. I returned to my future self and got the Wabbajack. Nowhere near as fun as it is in Skyrim, since it doesn't quite have insta-kill effects, but at least it can turn creatures into other creatures, confusing the natural order, and then I deliver the Jack to Martin. Next up is going through another Oblivion gate. The second required gate is more or less a standard gate, just having to escort some less than competent guards through an 8-hour shift without any breaks. Meanwhile, everyone else is allowed to get one, and going to the bathroom is one giant fiasco. Sadly, the guards don't make it. Well, they lack names, so naturally they won't make it. First guard died to a churl, and the other one, I have no idea what happened. Nothing else to note for the gate, except becoming over-encumbered, meaning you move slow like Skyrim, which I dread what the future has instead, given my chaotic tendencies. Oh well, I do my job, and Ruma is saved. Hopefully a 2nd through 5th gate doesn't open for them. Also got a fire shield enchantment for my armor, which is very helpful for Oblivion gates. With the city saved, I return to Cloud Ruler Temple, and his next task is to crash a desktop. I get it, game. I must buy a $2,000 graphics card because everyone else is so hyper-focused on hyper-realism. Also, for every dungeon dive going forward, I have to return to the Imperial City to get my stuff repaired because everything, I swear, is made of glass. Next up is traveling to Sacrator to get some armor from Tiber Septum. Don't mind me, just enjoy the view. Hold on one second. I eventually make it to the ruined castle, and yet again my armor broke from the Bone Zone, so I return to the Imperial City for repairs, and while waiting for the stores to open, some Mythic Dawn agents try to attack me. Newsflash, geniuses, you might not want to attack a civilian next to a bunch of guards. Back at Torna, I began throwing hands with the Ghost Boys. Normally you need silver weapons to be able to hurt these specters, but with an unarmed skill of 50, you can just boot them into submission. Let this be a lesson to y'all. If you're haunted by your past, just punch it. The main gimmick of this dungeon is beating 4 skeletons so they can lower a barrier to the armor, which mostly just translates to going through the same looking hallways fighting the same 2 enemies. At one point, since I wanted to play through the quest lines with a character, I started doing sneak attacks. Yeah, sneak is hilarious in Oblivion. Just get a bunch of chameleon enchantments and sneak attack everything. The stealth archer is even more ridiculous in Oblivion. No one ever explores the true depths of stealth. Before long I have rounded up my ghost warriors, except only 3 bothered showing up to lower the barrier. Just had to wait an hour, the 4th ghost had a bathroom break, and the freezer is then turned off, and I could grab my armor and deliver it to Boromir to start the next MacGuffin, that being a great welkin stone from Miskarkand. Alien ruins are the Dwemer dungeons of Oblivion. Instead of Bakugan, I have to fight skeletons and goblins to have a beef with one another. I really wish there could be more to say about these dungeons, just punching through the same types of enemies, but they all look the same, mostly because of level design. The zombies do take a few more punches to the noggin to take down. After more looting and snoozing and getting some zombie brain rot, I make it to the boss room with the Great Welkin Stone. I rush in and grab it, and the king comes out to play. Liches can be bitches, but thankfully a few karate chops and a gut shot is enough to dethrone the king, and I can finish yet another fetch quest. So just one more item to fetch, which is the spiciest. Yeah, turns out the Countess of Ruma isn't too happy with us opening a bunch of Oblivion gates outside her town, including a doomsday weapon. But eventually she agrees to it, and when the Countess was off to talk to Martin, he just dipped from the conversation. Must be well versed in final farewells before getting killed off. Well, I tried to go to the battlefield to see if the Martian is there, but nope, nothing. I tried to wait, nothing. And strangely enough, interacting with an Oblivion gate was enough for my babysitting mission to show up. The battle for Ruma isn't a strenuous endeavor, just make sure you hit the right bad guy, and you should be good. The game wants you to grab more soldiers from other cities, but it is never an issue. As much as I don't like the Unreal Engine 5, I will say the battle looks a lot more ominous than the original. The main thing I try to do is rush down the scamps as they exit the portal, since sometimes the game gets unhappy with friendly fire. Thankfully, with everyone picking off the small fry, the main gate can be raised, and I happily rush into unpaid overtime while my bosses get the rest of the week off. I'm not really for sure how to do this gate the intended way, as I normally just hop along the rock face to the left, and with a high enough acrobatic skill, you can get on top of the bridge. Skyrim literally solves every problem. With enough platforming, I'm inside the main tower with 13 minutes to spare. Oh yeah, you have 15 minutes to close the gate, or else all of Tamriel is lost. No pressure. Inside the main tower, I came across a fun time with the blade traps, the main annoying thing with Oblivion gates, and I did have to use a few of my potions to stay alive. Thankfully, I have more than enough time to spare, but I still want to rush things. Near the top, I came across a tougher Dunmore that took quite a few more punches in the face to go down, and given me wanting to conserve as many potions for Paradise as I can, I just ignore them, grab the Sigil Stone with a lot of momentum, Honestly, I never knew you could die from the flames. Second go around, I play things slower, I don't light my fur on fire for some stupid TikTok, and as the gate closes, I will keep this unedited, just showcasing Oblivion being Oblivion.
There's a psychopath on.
By the nine divines, assault!
Murder!
Can't you stop that? Someone's been murdered!
You can't you stop that? Damn you! Someone's been murdered! Die,
What's going on?
There's a psychopath on the loose. Help! Murder! Murder!
This is honestly just a normal day for Oblivion. There are a lot of videos online of the game just being jank, and this is the true soul of Cyrodiil and why I love this game. Also, I realized I never picked up the sigil stones off the ground. Oopsies. I talked to the Almost Emperor, and all that is left is basically the finale. Before going to Paradise, I returned to the Imperial City one last time for repairs and potions, and with my very minimal prep work, this is also my first Oblivion challenge run, and I'm just kinda YOLOing it. I returned to the throat of the world, and now for the relevant MacGuffins to open the gate to heaven. I will say the environment of Paradise is actually pretty nice, full of green shrubs, theater with a few punch marks in the face, and immortals forgetting about the mortality and comedic timing. In order to get into the caves of Skuldolphin, I need to punch the gloves off of Daedra, and I have to keep them on for much of the interior. All that means is my melee attacks are a little less effective on the Daedra here, and I'm a little more weak to fireballs. I'm only level 4, so no flame atronarchs. I am offered a lava bath, which I happily accept, which is supposed to let you avoid some higher level Dremora, but I have a bad sense of direction. I haven't been in Paradise in 5 years or so. These blokes do quite a bit of damage, more than I was expecting really, so I had to use a bit of my potions I was saving for a man car, just so I don't reload my last quick save. I just become Little Mac and punch out the stereotype of the day, and eventually come out on top. Further in the caves, I'm reunited with some nobody who isn't much help for the boss. The rest of the caves is more fisticuff. Thankfully I can use my better gloves to deal more damage, though sadly my backup kinda dies, but I wasn't expecting him to live anyways. Eventually we're back outside and ready for the final boss. Vanguard Cameron goes one of two ways. Either he's a pushover, or a big pain in the neck. And if there's any one thing a mage can do to make your life hell, it is to run around while the tanks get in your way. You know, an effective RPG boss. I don't bother with the ads since they all come back to life anyways, just squish the mage as payback for having my favorite run be a flop in the algorithm's eyes. Seriously, I am upset about it, but eventually I come out on top without much health left. I reclaim the shiny necklace I spent all game chasing after, and sat down on my throne but get paralyzed because someone took off all the cushioning. With victory achieved, I talk to Martin in his ripe for a Skyrim assassination attire, and all that is left is to finish the game, which is very straightforward. I travel to the Elder Council chamber, Martin talks to the Magic 8 Ball, and news drops that the Oblivion gates are opening all over the city, and the only way to stop the invasion is to go to the next screen. I ignored all the enemies, talked to Martin, get a brief look at the CEO, we made it into the temple, Sean Bean fulfills his obligation to not survive his role, and successfully beat Oblivion Remastered with only my fists. I will say the final cutscene really got a glow up. As for my thoughts on the run, well, I got to play Oblivion again, so I'm happy. Sure, hand-to-hand really wasn't that bad, just the range being subpar, but once you get past level 50, it is alright. I just want something simple as I play through Oblivion again. As my thoughts on the game, I'm not a fan of the graphics. I'm much more of an art style over graphics sort of person, plus the game had some loading issues given all the crashing, but I'm also on a subpar graphics card, so that probably didn't help. And also I'm not a big fan of some of the UI elements, but the original didn't have great UI anyways. But overall, I still had fun with the game, because even if the paint might not be as great, it's still Oblivion under the hood, with all this wonderful jank that makes Oblivion stand out even to this day. Will I do more Oblivion runs? Well, if this run goes well and there's more demand, I will. Just not for sure what to do next though. Well, that'll be a problem for future present past future present me. If you need me, I'm off to an Oblivion gate, work. Hopefully you enjoyed the run. If you did, be sure to drop a like, subscribe for more masochism and any other ways to torture myself, leave them down below. This has been Orpheolus, and I'll see you on the next one.
What happened? Where's Martin? I must congratulate him.
I suppose I have a moment. What is it?
I'm listening. Everyone's talking.
Body's still warm.
They say
Looks like there's a killer about.
boycott of Imperial